Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today we're going to give a quick review of the new 30 for 30 documentary on TSN, ESPN, the Be Water Bruce Lee documentary by Bob Wynn. Now, personally, I think the documentary looks at a lot of aspects of Bruce Lee's career, especially the racism, both what I call emotional, spiritual, job-wise, the many problems he had getting his career off track after being a child star and leading into the controversy about the Green Hornet, Kung Fu, but also led to the celebration of the many great movies he did. But also talks about the personal aspect of sharing his gift with not only his counterparts, but with the white and black communities. Now, the key that links all this has been kind of missed by the U.S. reviewers of the program. It's about 90 minutes running time. He did an interview with the CBC in 1971 with Pierre Burton, who was a great Canadian writer, historical writer, who had a lot of success on front page channels. And his description of the Be Water, where he describes why water is a good analogy of what kung fu or the martial arts he practiced, however you pronounce it, is is reflective of what needs to be done. Be like water, saying you pour water in a cup, the water becomes the cup, and you put it in a teapot, the water becomes the tea. It has to be fluid. It should be water. Um, Excerpts of that are linked to the different family members and colleagues like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his wife, his brother, his daughter, as to how important his whole life was. Like he was a multi-layered individual. But there's no documentary in 90 minutes could really cover all what Bruce Lee meant to people. They do their best. And there's been some question that should be expanded a little bit to talk about these individual movies, and I tend to agree. Because the behind the scenes machinations of Enter the Dragon, The Big Boss, Chinese rights in relation to Japanese occupation, which is touched upon in one of these movies, uh, could be just a documentary how he was freaked over by like with the producer for Kung Fu or Carradine got that could be a documentary in itself. So it's a good first start, but I hope, like the Jordan series, it would take more time to expand it. I was hoping here for a 6 to 7 episode series at like 45 minutes each. It looks very compressed. But I mean, how do you do a documentary on Elvis? There's no end to it. You could do a whole documentary on Elvis's girlfriends, Elvis's cooking, Elvis's backup players, Elvis's covers. You could do one just on Elvis's covers of the Canadian singers that inspired him. See, Elvis and Muhammad Ali and Presley were the link of that era. They had different levels of success within being their charisma and the people that supported them or didn't support them. But you know, seeing Bruce Lee still talked about 47 years after his death, like he's still alive. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has spoken many times, how he changed his life by allowing Kareem to see just more than black militancy or the color of his skin. Is that the reaching for success has more to do with the inner strength than anything else. And a lot of people in the Star Trek universe point to Bruce Lee as kind of an inspiration how to expand the Klingon characters. You know, we hear Worf in Star Trek Next Generation saying the battle is not for without, is for within. I learned a lot from Bruce Lee just by seeing the excellence he provided and the way he described what the sport meant to him. But the key scenes that really stand out for me, I first saw Bruce Lee or remember Bruce Lee on an old James Franciscus series called Longstreet, where Longstreet, the character, was a blind police officer, and Bruce Lee was training him how to deal with his life challenges. Very, very strong few episodes. And of course, Marlowe with our guy from the Rockford Files, the one where he smashes the whole office. Like nobody could stop Bruce Lee. James Garner, one said, he said I was scared half to death. He said he saw me on screen. I was joking, but he said I was scared half to death. Like what was real and what wasn't. But I think the other documentaries that were done on Bruce Lee, there's been others as well. If you watch those and watch this, you can never watch too many Bruce Lee documentaries, but don't watch the seemingly fictional Bruce Lee story, the commercial movie that came out many years ago. That's just anyway. It is what it is. It's kind of a comic book version. So for me, 30 for 30 V water, 3.5 stars out of 5. Again, you're not seeing something if you're a Bruce Lee fan you haven't seen before. But the excerpts from that Pierre Berkin interview, 1971, you could see Bruce was starting to rise, and it's not very often that the CBC correctly predicts the rise of an individual. Why would anybody from the CBC be determined to interview Bruce Lee unless Bruce Lee's handlers approach to do something? It's kind of bizarre. That could be a documentary in itself. Like I said, there's layers upon layers, and I like we talked about all these Hollywood pals that he had both in the industry, behind the scenes, and in front of the scenes. It's quite fascinating. Again, 3.5 stars out of 5. If you're an novice, never saw Bruce Lee, be prepared to be excited because there's a lot of parts of this that will say to you, once you see Bruce Lee, you never go back. You're never going to watch an action movie without seeing Bruce Lee in it because you look at all the great action movies we had since Bruce Lee passed. They're all ripping off Bruce Lee. We all know that, either emotionally or physically or spiritually or presenting wise. So in this COVID Monday, Black Lives Matter events coming up across New Brunswick, including Woodstock, soon to your local media. And like I said, as Bruce Lee once said, you got to be yourself. And like I said, if you feel like protesting or supporting, please be there. Have a good day. Bye.